Hello, I'm Catherine Truesdell, one of the ninth grade counselors over in the high school. I apologize that we're not able to meet in person given the circumstances, but I hope this slideshow will help answer some questions or concerns that you have about your students coming up to the high school. Also, at the end of this, there'll be contact information for myself and Ms. Lagarde, both ninth grade counselors, so you can reach out to us with any further questions or concerns that you may have moving forward. Again, my name is Catherine Truesdell. Ms. Lagarde is our other ninth grade counselor, so you will be working with one of us during that ninth grade year. In this presentation, we're going to introduce some people that you want to know their faces and their names, their roles. We're going to talk about the Student Center, so what our role is as counselors, the other people who work in the Student Center as well. Graduation requirements, I know you all want to know those, the expectations of the next 4 years for your child. And scheduling, so what classes you can expect to see in your child's schedule for next year, and a little bit about moving forward throughout high school. So here we have Mr. Wilder. He is our high school principal. He is one of 3 administrators in our building that will be working directly with your children. He is the principal. We also have 2 assistant principals who I'll get to in just a second, but our administrative team is here to cheer on students, to give them a little boost when they need one, to remind them of the behaviors and expectations in our building. They're also going to be reaching out to you to forge really strong relationships so that we can get students through these next 4 years in the most positive and uplifting way. Miss Boardman is one of our assistant principals, and Miss Blount is our second assistant principal. The APs are assigned by cohort and will be working with your child and you throughout their high school career. In addition to Ms. Lagarde and myself, there are 4 other school counselors. These counselors will work with your children once they enter 10th grade and will continue with your child throughout 12th. Caseloads are determined by the first letter of your child's last name. In addition to the counselors, there are 2 social workers, a school psychologist, a secretary, and a career educator housed in the Student Center. Our social workers, Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Padir, are available for students should they need additional counseling beyond the scope of the school counselor. They're also there in times of crisis or if a counselor is unavailable. Our school psychologist, Mr. Jankowski, is available to students, especially those with an IEP. He also does IEP testing and additional academic testing to see if students need additional support. Our secretary, Ms. Uchak, is very vital to guidance as she oversees a lot of our documentation and records. She is also the one in charge of printing our diplomas for students, as well as getting working papers together. Our career educator, Ms. Paisanello, is there to help students with college searches, how to write resumes, doing their college essays. She also sometimes has job availabilities for students in the summer. As counselors, we provide support and interventions to students according to their academic progress. We are continuously monitoring their grades and meeting with students regarding any concerns that we may have. We all know that personal and social issues inside and outside of school can affect a student's success. We offer support and counseling for students who have found that non-academic issues are affecting their ability to perform in school. We also meet with the teachers regarding student concerns so that we can all support student success. During our career and vocational planning, we're monitoring interests of students so that we can better tailor scheduling to their interests. We will also perform career and interest profiles for students to help guide them towards the future. Of course, there's college planning involved in all of this for students who express an interest in moving on to higher education. In addition, testing and placement is done through the Student Center, both by our school psychologists for anything including IEPs or the possibility of students needing more support in our building, to college placement exams, the PSATs, and AP exams. Graduation requirements. There are requirements set down by New York State that all students must meet in order to graduate on time. The 3 main key components of that are credits, courses, and testing, and we will be reviewing each one of those components throughout this presentation. All students will need to earn 22 credits in order to graduate. Many students will graduate with far more than 22 credits. A credit is earned through the successful completion of a course. Many courses are worth a full credit, some are a half, and we can review some of those later on. All students will need to take and pass the listed courses. As you can see, 4 credits, or 4 years, of English and Social Studies are needed, and 3 of Math and Science. We will encourage your children to go above and beyond the minimum requirements, especially in science and math. We believe that students should continue to challenge themselves academically throughout their high school career. As students move through their courses, there is more room for tailoring their classes towards their individual interests. In addition to what we think of as our core classes, students will need to complete the following courses towards their 22 credits. Now, each of these courses may only be taken once throughout high school. They don't need to be repeated every year. So music, art, they need to take at least one of those types of classes. And we will talk about what's designated as music and art in a few more slides. Typically, kids take those in 9th grade. So they would have chosen one of those when we did course selections. Health is typically in 10th or 11th. PE is 2 credits. However, each year it's worth a half a credit, so that's still 4 years of PE. Foreign language. Students need a minimum of 1 foreign language credit in order to graduate. However, we encourage students to continue in foreign language through level 3, so then they can sit for their foreign language Regents equivalency exam, which is one of the exams needed for the Advanced Regents Diploma. We know that foreign language can be challenging for students, so there are some ways to substitute that foreign language Regents exam, and we will happily discuss those with you one-on-one. Electives. Electives are anything that go above and beyond the minimum requirements in a class. So in something like music, a student who is in band, the first year they're there, it'll count towards that art music credit. If they stay for the next 3 years after freshman year, it'll count as 3 credits towards their electives. Now, these courses that we went over are only for the 22 credits. Many students graduate with far more than that because we like to tailor their interests. So if they're really interested in art or music, they may take more than 4 or 5 credits in that. So that's how they end up with more than those 22. Students will also need to take and pass several Regents exams in order to graduate from high school. The minimum 5 exams listed here will be needed in order to graduate. There are 2 different diploma types that we will get to in a few minutes that change the amount of exams that students need. But as you can see here, 1 science, algebra is the math that students must take, 2 history courses, and the English are the minimum requirements. Students will graduate with one of 2 different types of diplomas. There is the Regents Diploma and the Advanced Regents Diploma. Both of these require the 22 credits in the courses that we've talked about. And they both require at least those 5 minimum Regents exams. But as you can see, with the Advanced Designation Regents Diploma, there are several more exams included in that. Part of the reason we encourage students to continue further in their studies and to challenge themselves academically is we want to be able to point them towards this Advanced Regents Diploma. We want students to have the best opportunities available to them, and that's part of the reason for the push. As you can see here, in addition to the algebra, there's 2 more math Regents on there, an additional science, and the foreign language. Again, the reason we push students to go further in their studies and things like foreign language is it helps with the Advanced Regents Diploma. And we also know that the more academic classes students take, the more marketable they are after high school. So again, we want to give them all the advantages that we can while we're here. So now we're going to talk about scheduling, the courses that you're going to see on your child's schedule for next year. Of course, there's going to be math, science, English, social studies, their electives, all of those course requirements that we went through. But these are the individual classes within those areas. For math, Recommendations were made by your child's 8th grade math teacher into what would be the most supportive environment for them. So Algebra 1 with lab has the core class of algebra and then an additional support period so that students who need more time to process the algebra concepts, it gives the teacher more time to go over things that the class might be struggling with, are given that extra period through the lab. Algebra 1 has no lab, so they're just meeting for the class, and those students are prepared to meet those rigors without needing the extra support. One class is not better than the other one. It is all about what class is going to be the most supportive and help your child be the most successful when they're seeing that Regents exam at the end of the year. Students who are in algebra currently will be moving into geometry. And again, just like with the algebra and the algebra with lab, there's no right or wrong courses. It's just their course of study that they happen to be on and giving them the most challenging but also most supportive environment. Just like you saw with math, there's different levels of science as well, living environment and earth science. Students who are currently in 8th grade science will be moving into living environment. It is the first of the Regents level sciences in the high school. It is a biology course and ends with the Regents at the end of the year. Earth science is the second level of Regents courses in the high school for science, and it also ends with a Regents at the end of the year. The earth science class will see the students who were in living environment in 8th grade sitting in those classes. Every student will have English in their schedule for 9th grade, as well as going forward, as we know from those 4 credits of English. In 9th grade, students will either have ELA 9 or ELA 9 HP. The HP is the honors placement course. Both courses are there for foundational reading skills, writing, vocabulary, and communication. The ELA honors placement is for students who have performed at a high level during 8th grade English, so consistently getting 85s or above and have a recommendation for their teacher. No class is better or worse than the other. It's all about appropriate placements for your child. Just like English, we have 2 levels of Social Studies 9, Global History. There's the honors placement and then just Social Studies 9. Honors placement, again, is for students who are consistently getting 85s and above in their 8th grade social studies course and have the teacher recommendation. Global History is a 2-year course, so there's Global History 1 and Global History 2. The second half of the course they'll take in 10th grade, and the Regents exam will be at the end of 10th grade. Read 180 is another class you may see in your child's schedule. Read 180 is designed to help students improve in their reading, and that is both with fluency as well as understanding. We base this off of NWEA scores, and from there, we're able to support students because we know that reading is a vital part of education and life in general. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the best advantages by using this program. Foreign language, all students must have at least 1 credit in foreign language. Next year, we will be offering Spanish 1, Spanish 2, and Spanish for native speakers. For students who are in MS Spanish, they will be going into Spanish 1. Those in Spanish 1 in 8th grade are slated to go into Spanish 2 unless they would like to no longer continue with foreign language. But we have had those conversations with them regarding continuing foreign language and what that can mean for their diploma types at the end of high school. Spanish for native speakers are students who are currently in the native speakers class and wish to continue there. And those are definitely questions that we can answer individually regarding native speakers, Spanish 1, Spanish 2. Now we're going to talk about electives. So these are the classes that your children had a choice in taking. There are several different ones, and I'll go through them as we progress through the slides. But the first one is art, so that is studio art. As you can see here, it's kind of an intro to all different types of art, so they'll be working with different mediums throughout the year. This class does fill the requirement of the art music credit. So we definitely encourage students to take studio art or one of the other electives that I'll be going through with these slides. Performance arts, or performing arts, we interchange the two, are what we would consider our music credits. Some of you are familiar with those, band, orchestra, and chorus. We definitely encourage kids to continue in those if they're still interested in them. And we encourage them to have conversations with those teachers should they wish to no longer take those courses. Performance skills is an intro to music course that we offer in high school, so they'll be learning about reading and writing music. They'll also have a choice of instrument in there between guitar and piano. Sometimes there's other instruments available, but that depends on the teacher's discretion within the class. We also have a dance program here at the high school. It starts with level 1 dance. Students will be learning different types of dance in there: ballet, jazz, street. There is an expectation that they will be changing into dance attire during these classes. If your child is in a dance company outside of school and believes that level 1 may not be appropriate for them, they would be asked to audition. This is usually done through video, so that then they can be placed appropriately within our dance program. We also have emerging ensembles, which is by teacher recommendation only, and that's small chamber groups, such as 2 violinists and a cellist, or a small singing group. Again, that's by teacher recommendation. DDP, or Design and Drawing for Production, is our Intro to Technology course. It counts towards that art music credit, and it is for students who are interested in hands-on technology. One of the basic skills they'll be learning in this class is how to technically draw something so it can later be built. So it's a lot of measurements, very precise drawings, as well as using the computer programs that do the same type of drawings as well. Students who are interested in things like architecture or roller coaster design would benefit from this course. In addition to our art and music electives, we have the Business and Academy of Finance courses. These do not count towards the art music credit, but some students may have more availability in their schedule due to the classes that they're taking, and this is an additional course that they could take. Our Academy of Finance is a very strong program, and it is nationally recognized. The 2 courses that we have next year listed here are both half-year courses, so they're worth a half a credit each. The Principles of Hospitality and Tourism is studying current tourism trends as well as the history behind the industry, and learning about what motivates travelers and what the consumers are looking for in their travels and what it is that draws them towards certain types of hotel chains or certain types of areas. Sustainable tourism is taking a look at how tourism is affecting the world overall, the socioeconomic impacts, the relationships between the places and the tourists that go there, and green tourism. These are really emerging areas of business, and we project seeing those grow as time goes on. So if students are interested in anything that has to do with tourism, hospitality, the restaurant business, things like that, this would be a great program for them. In the high school, we use block scheduling. As you can see here, we have A and B days. For example, algebra is in a block period 1, 2 on A days, and the lab is period 8 on B days. Block classes, as you can see, are longer and usually are a core class. The skinnies, 5, 6, and 7, are during lunch periods. Classes scheduled at this time will sometimes be both A and B days, or as you can see here with Earth Science and PE, each is a skinny period every other day. For a class like PE, this is why it is worth a half a credit because of the seat time. Finally, I want to talk about eligibility. It's very important here in the high school. We have what we call eligibility polls every 2 weeks. That's a snapshot of how students are doing in their class at the time of the poll. And we base our eligibility over that approximately 2-week period of time that before and after those polls. So eligible students are passing all of their classes. We're not super concerned academically about them at this point. They can participate in after-school activities. Those extracurriculars are all still available to them. At the time of the poll, if a student is failing one course, they're probation eligible. There's going to be conversations. Their teachers are going to point it out to them. They might have a conversation with Ms. Lagarde or myself around what they need to do to fix this, but they're still allowed to participate in extracurricular activities, although we'd really love to see them go to tutorials. Ineligible students are the students who at the time of the poll have failed 2 or more classes. And it doesn't matter if these are core classes or electives. When they are failing 2 or more, they cannot participate in any extracurricular activities, but they can go to them. So if there's something like a basketball game, they can go, they can watch the game, or if they're on the team, they can go and sit on the bench, but they will not be participating in the game. The idea is that we want to let them continue to go to practice as well so that they stay limber and in shape so there's no injuries once they return to their sport. But they do need to be taking time to go to those tutorials and things to get back on track. As I mentioned with the previous slide, we do expect our students who are either on probation or ineligible to be attending after-school tutorials to help improve their grades so that they're no longer on one of those lists the next time there's a poll. Especially for the students who are going to want their ineligibility reviewed, they definitely need to be attending, because after the 6th day of school, they can come to the counselor, say, look, I know I messed up, here's what I've been doing to fix it, and we can take a look at that review and bring that request further up the ladder. We are not the ones who make the final decision, but we are the ones that they start with that process. Also, we realize that on occasion students have extenuating circumstances, such as illness or they are injured, a family member isn't doing well, something like that, that has prevented them from being able to focus on their schoolwork. Those kind of issues they can bring to us right away, and we can adjust eligibility for that. Also, the sooner they let us know, the sooner we can notify the teacher, so things can be put into place to help them out before those ineligibility polls even happen. Thank you for taking the time to watch this PowerPoint. I hope it has answered any questions or concerns that you may have. But if you do have additional questions for Ms. Lagarde or myself, our contact information is here. Please note that due to the school closure, if you call us, it'll go to voicemail, but we do have remote access to those and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. In addition, I have included a link here that takes you to the high school course catalog, so you can look at all the class descriptions about the ones that we talked about today, as well as ones that your child may be able to take in the future. We hope that this has answered some questions for you. Please, again, reach out if you have more questions. Have a lovely afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you all in September.